How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to Pixelated Thoughts, and today we are continuing our reviews of the best video game adaptations, or just video game adaptations, and we are today going to talk about the Super Mario Brothers movie, the most recent one that just came out in 2023. This is the animated film. It has Chris Pratt as who voices Mario, Anya Taylor-Joy voices Princess Peach, and Charlie Day as Luigi.
Don't forget Jack Black.
Jack Black is also Bowser, and Seth Rogen is Donkey Kong, which is also pretty cool. So the movie came out 2023. It's about an hour and a half long. It's pretty brisk runtime, honestly.
Yeah.
Let's get Brad's thoughts on it, because Brad is a Nintendo fan and he gives everything the benefit of the doubt. So Brad, how did you feel about the Super Mario Brothers movie, man?
Give it a 4.
Out of
Whatever you want it to be.
4 out of
It's all
5.
arbitrariness.
Oh,
It was okay. It was well made. I'll say that. Like it was good action. You know, the plot was just kind of weird. But I actually didn't like the voices that much. Like I know there's a lot of controversy with Chris Pratt being Mario. But honestly, I didn't really like any of the voices other than maybe Toad.
I mean, I thought Charlie Day was fine as Luigi. I thought he did pretty good.
Well, yeah, but he was also in the movie for
Like 10 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, the first 4 minutes and the last 4 minutes.
Kind of the Super Mario Brothers movie, and once again, we just sidelined like my favorite character in Luigi. I don't understand it, you know. Sorry,
but I mean, you know, Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong just doesn't really feel that way.
Parts of
Chris
it
Pratt,
I think parts of the Donkey Kong stuff worked out though. Like when he was like in the arena talking shit, like having fun with it. I think like there were other parts where it felt awkward. I thought Fred Armisen as like Cranky Kong, that did not fit at all. It just
I couldn't. I couldn't tell it was him. For one thing, I was like,
Fred does.
Like,
Fred Armisen does a bunch of voices.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I knew it was him, like just because I knew it was him, but it was like I couldn't tell that this was him. Keegan Key being Toad, right? Like, yeah. I mean, he does silly voices, so I mean
he nailed it. I like that.
But yeah. The ending of the movie didn't make a lot of sense to me.
Which part?
The whole part. So
me when it got really dark for some reason, Mario's getting his ass beat by Bowser, and I was like, this kind of took a super dark turn.
No,
like,
it got super depressing.
Okay, so when they launched the large bullet bill, and he's like flying away from it, right? Mm-hmm. And like his first instinct is, let's send the big bomb back home, right? Let's send it to Earth, and he eats it into the pipe, right? And the pipe blows up, and everyone gets sucked into New York. Okay, and then the big battle happens, right? And then they defeat Bowser, and then everyone's cheering for Mario and Luigi. Yet they're the ones that sent all of this to Earth. Like they're the ones that caused this to happen in Brooklyn.
So I just
don't know that though.
So I just want to say that, like, one, it's a fucking kids movie, all right, and two, the Mario
and you're teaching them the wrong thing.
The Mario games lack logic at times anyway. It just kind of happens. I mean, yeah.
Well, okay, and that's the other thing. Even with the old movie, right? It's the like trying to make it realistic, or like trying to mold it into, oh, they live in New York, right? It's like, and I think the only time I've ever been in an urban setting in a Mario game is New Donk City and the newest Mario, but like everything else has been in the Mushroom Kingdom or one of those worlds, right? It's like I've never seen Mario be an actual plumber.
There was a Mario game a long time ago. It wasn't Mario Paint. It was like I think it's like the Mario game where you're solving like puzzles and riddles and stuff like that, where he actually does it in the city for a little bit. I remember that game being annoying as shit when
that's not canon.
That's not canon. There's no real canon timeline to this, right?
No.
I do think it was kind of weird. So the actual voice of Mario for the last 30 years
shows up in a very small cameo at the end.
Yeah. Charles Martinet.
Yeah.
Martinet. Mm-hmm. He voices his Mario's father. I think that was just a weird move. Like, either let him be Mario or don't involve him at all.
It's almost, I feel like it's like a slap in the face. Like,
exactly.
Here's what you could have had, but we're not giving that to you.
It's like, hey, we could make Mario sound identical to Mario.
I think the thing was what's weird is that the entire time when I'm watching the movie, I was like, there's no way Brad's not gonna pull like some logic shit with this, and I'm like, it's a fucking kids film. I really think like in my opinion, the movie is formulaic. It pretty much is like as bare bones as possible in terms of like narrative depth, and that's completely fine because they're trying to set up like the universe for Nintendo to play with, right? Yeah, Donkey Kong, so I assume there's gonna maybe be a Donkey Kong IP down the line, and then
The
you know
NCU.
into the Nintendo Cinematic Universe. I mean, quite possibly they have Legend of Zelda coming up. I think in the near future, which will be live action. Which I don't know why you do that. I mean, you could probably do live action with Metroid. I think you can get away with that. But like for the most part, everything animated. Because what was found here, and what blew my mind was that it was Illumination, the production company. I was kind of shocked because Illumination has done like the Despicable Me series, which is pretty good, but like
Mhm.
this is on like a whole nother level in terms of some of the details I saw. Like the hair stuff was
You take that back.
fantastic, dude. The in terms of what you think this was worse animated than Despicable Me or
Absolutely. Have you
Minions?
seen the Minions?
You're out of your fucking mind. You're high. You're
No,
high.
no. Like, so I mean, it
It was
was
a higher
fantastically.
caliber of
Yeah,
animation.
it
Yeah,
was.
yeah. This
It
this this shit. This is like insanely well done. But no, the stories. My whole thing was like, I don't know what critics were expecting, and I feel like when you go into a kids film, we kind of have like really high expectations into how a movie should work, but really it's just like we introduce the Super Mario Brothers, we have them go on a wacky adventure, and then we roll credits. Right? There's not supposed to, I don't think there's going to be any real depth to this. I mean, it does have that moment where it gets dark with Bowser beating the crap out of Mario, and then Mario look like he's on the brink of death, and then it gets saved by Luigi. It's like one of those things. I'm like, that's kind of like randomly thrown in, but that gets done in a lot of animated films. I do think the voice acting was, just okay. I still don't understand the big complaints about like Chris Pratt. Like, I don't think he's great, but he's serviceable.
No,
You
I
know
don't
what I
think he
mean?
was the best Mario that could be
No,
out there. And
no.
and I think when it comes to movies selecting big names to voice characters, I think sometimes that's not the best move. Like that's why I think and I'm gonna bring this other movie in, but I think Borderlands is gonna have that same problem.
Well, I think the previous Borderlands haven't been great. People are pretty disappointed, but like we'll talk about
Which
that
just
another
proof
day.
that just bringing big names in isn't always a dub move.
I mean, we talked about this before, like on other like adaptations we've covered. You have to respect your audience, and like the thing with Mario is that it's catered toward children. Like, there's really no set narrative in any of the games except for like save the princess, get the stars, that type of stuff. And they tried to do
that's not.
something here.
That's not even the thing in the movie though. That's the like. That's
Well, I mean, but like in the first game, it's like fighting Bowser, so that's what they did. They fought Bowser. You know what I mean? That was. I mean,
the
you're just
the
stop
first
making
one.
shit
They
up in your head,
no
bro. Like
no
that's.
no. The first one, he fights Donkey Kong,
No,
right?
yeah. Well, that wasn't called the Super Mario Brothers game, bro. That was
Well, yeah,
that was just
it's
like Mario.
Jumpman, but
Yeah,
that
it's
doesn't
Jumpman.
matter. That doesn't matter.
That's totally different. All right, relax. But we're talking about like they introduced Bowser. I think honestly it's just world building, right? You get a lot here, and they also hinted other things. You get like Luigi in like certain creepy places. You're like, oh, they could make a Luigi's
Luigi's
Mansion
Mansion. Yeah.
series, just like I think the
Yeah.
Sonic and Tails 2 movie had Knuckles in it, and they just had a Knuckles series on Paramount, which has been pretty well received. I just think like when you see these types of films, like I don't know what people expect out of them outside of it just being fun, you know. And it's obviously catered toward kids. I know like a lot of Nintendo fans watched it. I think people were probably dissatisfied by the voice performances because I mean a lot of it was not great, you know, but it was simple. Um, I thought Seth Rogen, by the way, did fine. I liked him as Donkey Kong. I thought he was pretty cool.
It,
I just felt like Fred
I'm,
Armisen as Cranky Kong was like the one thing where it was like, out of all the voices, out of everyone was talking, he was the one that just didn't sound like he was lock in step with everybody else. I mean, obviously the best character was Luma, the little Lumen star, who was
Oh yeah.
the
that
sweet embrace,
the
the
sweet
sweet release of death.
the sweet
Yeah.
release of death. It's like
Finally.
finally when they roll in the credits and stuff like that. Now it's just you and it's in the darkness, and I was like, holy shit, this is brutal.
The
Um,
character's me.
the character, it's me. I'm such a
It's
fan.
me.
I thought, I mean, I wonder though, and whether or not Nintendo needed to get big names for this film. But before we get into that, I do want to get Jack's thoughts on the film itself. Jack, what'd you think about it? Because I'm sorry, we're like pretty much
He didn't
segueing to
watch it.
something else. Jack did watch it.
Well, I've seen it 2-3 times now.
Jack watched it with his kittens on his face.
The kittens did watch the last probably 15 minutes of it.
They were
and they
disgusted.
thoroughly enjoyed the ass whooping during the
They're like,
was it the star?
where's the cat costume?
Yeah, no, they did sit up and watch the last 15 minutes of it.
What?
But I thought I liked the movie. I am on the fence of when it comes to selecting big names to voice characters. Like I said earlier, it's not always the best move. Because when you hear some voices, all you can picture is just them,
Yeah, Chris Pratt's
right?
range isn't exactly great.
Right. You,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, it's really funny
So
because like Charlie Day, Chris Pratt, they like all they did was like either deepen or lighten their voice just a little bit,
yeah,
and it's
like
like nice,
Seth
you nailed it.
Rogen when Seth Rogen
He
does
was just Seth
voices,
Rogen, bro.
it's Seth
No,
Rogen.
that's just Seth Rogen. He didn't even like
Yeah,
put anything
Jack
onto it.
Black is Jack Black.
Well,
There's
I will say that Chris Pratt did sound like a very generic guy
he
trying
did
to
like an Italian.
yeah,
Yeah,
doing an Italian
yeah,
sounding
So 90% of
voice.
90% of actors out there could have done this.
yeah. I didn't hate it. I didn't hate the
Right.
voice acting, but I think they probably could have done a little bit better.
Mhm.
But I liked the nods to certain things, like you said, with Luigi being in that
Little spooky
uh,
area. I mean,
spooky area, kind of was a nod to Luigi's Mansion, I
they
think.
had so many. They're like setting up so much stuff for it, like connected
Uh-huh.
universes, potentially like Mario Galaxy type stuff because they had the star there. They have there's like all these things that they're like kind of. It's just they did that to sacrifice a more complex plot or a more
Yeah,
narrative plot or a plot with more depth, more
yeah,
emotional
and I
depth,
like
which is fine because it's a fucking Mario movie, dude.
right. I like that they brought Rainbow Road in.
Yeah, they literally brought like
And
Mario Kart.
and the little cheat where you can jump over the edge to get to
Yeah,
the other part of
they
Rainbow
they
Road.
brought in like Mario Kart. They had the original Donkey Kong versus Mario. All that's
Yeah.
that's like some Smash Brother references and stuff like that in terms of the
Hmm.
attacks. Like I said, I think it's a very much like if you watch the film and you're a Nintendo fan, you're probably like, holy shit, there it is. Like you're kind of sacrificing like narrative depth, some connections between characters. Once again, Luigi gets sidelined for like. It's kind of crazy that you have Charlie Day, right? Who's fantastic, and you're just like, hey man, can you do like an hour's worth of like just talking, and we'll just push it down to 10 minutes? You're good, buddy. You know. But with that being said, like the movie made 1.3 billion dollars. Now, here's my honest opinion on it. Unlike Dungeons and Dragons, which had to attach like Chris Pine, who's probably the most well known actor in Dungeons and Dragons. I think with something with a property like Mario, which has sold I don't know how many copies, millions, hundreds of millions. It's like he's the poster boy of Nintendo. You
Yeah,
don't
you're talking
the
about Nintendo fans here.
even
Yeah.
the average consumer, right, who does not even play Nintendo, or just the average person will probably be like, "Hey, what's the first thing that comes to your mind when you see Nintendo?" They're all like Mario, right? I don't know if you needed this like big name voice actors to sell this film. I think people were excited the moment they saw the trailer and the concept stills and saw that Illumination was really like putting their back into making this look the way it is. That's just my opinion on it. Some properties do require big name backing. I honestly think, Brad, because you and I both love Dungeons and Dragons. I think Jack, you watched it too. I don't think that
I did.
film like gets talked about because Chris Pine like really carried that performance, even though even though he sounded completely different from like everybody else in the movie. I feel like with Mario, I'm like, I don't know if you needed Chris Pratt. Like they could, because I remember when they talked about the film, they really talked about like, how they had Chris Pratt and Charlie Day, and people were like upset, throwing their arms up, like, why the fuck do you need these many big name voice actors? And I'm like, I don't know. I mean, even Anya Taylor-Joy as Princess Peach was like, she did pretty good, but it wasn't anything stand out, right?
Right.
So I have to ask that question to Brad. Like, do you think that Mario needed that to break even to even be as popular?
Um, my guess is it was part of the initial pitch for the movie. It was
Mhm.
like, it's like, hey, I'm sure there's some, high level executives that are not in touch with video games, right? I, I'm sure everyone at least knows about Mario, and it's actually his last name and his first name.
Okay, man. Would
But
you fucking chill? Like, I'm
it's
Mario
the
Mario, and that's Luigi Mario.
exactly the Mario Brothers. But anyways, I'm sure there were some executives saying, "Hey, we can't just have X, Y, and Z, voicing these characters. At least in America, we need to attach something with some stardom to it."
Mhm.
I'm sure on like a global scale, right? Like especially like in Japan, right? You wouldn't need that. You just need high quality production, and you know they're going to watch it. They're going to buy it in Japan, but in America, maybe they're just like, hey, we need something, right? We need The Rock, or we need something. We need somebody.
We don't need the Rock, man.
I don't
Exactly.
know.
That we don't need.
I feel like it would have been just as successful
Yeah,
if they didn't have this cast.
Well, right, but I
I
think it
think
was insurance for the pitch, right? It's so, hey, we
okay.
Yeah,
want to make this
yeah,
movie.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That makes
And
sense.
they're gonna say, who's voicing Mario? If they came up and said, oh, well, the main character is going to be voiced by the original voice actor, and the people go, well, who is that? And then they say his name, and they go, I don't know who that is.
I
This
think
might not be a
why
good idea.
I think like Nintendo fans probably would have been like more hyped up for the movie if it was the original Mario instead of him having like one voice line where he's like wahoo, and then you're like, what?
All right.
You're like, wait, dude, that's all he gets? Like he gets like a weird nod to boot out the door and stuff like that. No, I only ask that question because I always feel like sometimes the brand is already big enough, right? Like I it's kind of curious because moving forward, I'm assuming that the next Mario World movie, the Mario Brothers movie, is going to have Yoshi in it, right? I mean,
Oh yeah, especially how it ended.
Alan Tudyk needs to be voicing Yoshi, and then I'm 100% bought in. We're good to go. I don't have to do anything else, right? I mean, the dude played a chicken in Moana, so it is what it is. I think that like I would hope for like in the future they kind of uh, add more depth to the plot because the way they pretty much set this up was that the Mario Brothers were losers, right? And then saying it was kind of like that does have that similar parallel with the original film. By the way, they do share that. Like the Mario Brothers were kind of just like these two adult plumbers, and somehow they persuaded, I think he won an Oscar or like Oscar nominated actor Bob fucking Hoskins. Like the dude is, and John Leguizamo who was starting to like hit his stride, and then I'm like, how did we get to this point? And then it just kind of that one went by the wayside. We'll talk about it in a bit, but like with this movie, it was like we tried to set up with some type of emotional depth, like they just doubt themselves, but somehow they go into the Mushroom Kingdom and Mario just acclimates super quickly, right? I know they had the training montage and stuff like that, but I'm like, shouldn't you be worried about death at some point, dude? Like, don't you think something's gonna kill you when you're over there? Like, it felt like the moment he noticed that he could kind of do so, certain
Yeah,
things.
there was no fear.
Yeah, there's no fear, and I think that like in these types of movies, when the movie is pretty much named after you, there's almost no fear of like really anything too bad happening to you. It would have been a shock if they killed Luigi or something. Like, oh shit, they went there. You imagine in the last 5 minutes they sacrificed Luigi, and it just turns into like this whole fucking this nightmare. I feel like I'm glad that it stayed lighthearted the entire time.
It did.
But once again, it's a formulaic movie. Like you are not watching this for anything more than to have a good time. You kind of just want to shut your brain off. You had so many different references. I really liked the fight between Donkey Kong and Mario. That was a lot of fun. I also like
And
the
then when he
Mario.
turned into a cat.
Yeah, we turned into a cat. I love the Mario Kart stuff. Like I just think that like the movie was just fun. I mean, like the Bowser stuff. Some of it was pretty good, right? I like when he argues and or like tortures some of his little minions and stuff like that because he just wants them to understand how he's a soft, sensitive person, which is something that's accurate in the games because it happens in Mario Odyssey and stuff like
Hmm.
that. But I think that overall, like I'm not gonna judge this too harshly because I swear I kind of knew like Brad would probably have
I
issues with certain things.
so I feel like this is just going to be my thing now is just figuring out logic issues with anything that we do watch. I typically don't like. I mean, I've done it for the show now, but I typically don't, analyze everything that I watch.
Which is weird
Um,
because you give every game the benefit of the doubt. It's weird. It's like it's a difference between in mediums. Like sometimes he'll like play a game and be like, Ken, I didn't like this, but let me tell you about why I think that it deserves a shot or something. I'm like, okay. And he goes into like movies, anime, or TV. He's like, you know what, man? What the fuck are they doing? Like, why are we not
so,
dropping a nuke on New York right
so,
now?
so I will say something. So typically when they take something, I'm going to say fantasy.
Mhm.
They take something that's not based in like realistic things, and then they try to make it somewhat realistic, right? I.e., Mario in in New York, or like Kaiju number 8, right? It's in Japan, so it's like I feel like these are like cultures of people that would figure these things out much better than they have in the way they've depicted it.
I think
Um,
before you finish that sentence, like with fiction, right? It's about the suspension of disbelief. You know what I mean? That's like the
right,
whole like target. When you go into something that's fiction, like you anything you think that should happen in reality, you should be able to take what the existing information in front of you or the information in front of you, and you should be able to like separate that from reality. I'm just saying, it's the same thing that like when you watch something like Dungeons and Dragons, right? Of course, it's not. Of
right,
course, the bard's not going to be the one like who makes up all these crazy plans and
right,
is like uber successful. But
right.
like,
But
but
but but once again, Dungeons and Dragons is not. It's not Earth, right?
well,
It's
brother,
not.
it's just like fucking what's that zombie movie? Dawn of the Dead, right? When they're in the mall, like no one fucking has any idea how like the zombies work. Like we have to assume that the films or something does not exist in that world. So that concept, it's like The Walking Dead. I don't think in The Walking Dead is the same thing, right? They don't say zombies; they just come walkers, which is fucking
Well,
Yeah.
that's a
stupid.
terrible show, so it doesn't matter.
Hey, hold on. I thought it was great up until season 4, and then it kept resetting the storyline.
Yeah, I mean, but that's what I'm saying is that like you have to kind of assume at some point that
Yeah.
like maybe that whatever you're thinking about doesn't exist in that world, and then
Nope,
because like it's a cartoon, I can't like fault it for having
nope.
weird logic. Like when Mario gets launched all over the fucking place against Bowser, the first hit should have killed him, right? If we're saying
That
that
would have
he's
been pretty
back in
cool.
real,
I'm just saying.
no, it,
Holy shit,
it,
they
it,
dropped.
it would have traumatized every child in the audience. But I think like with the Kaiju number 8 stuff, like that one I understand because they even bring up the fact that they've been hunting kaiju since like however long the vice captain's family is, right? Like his family used like samurai swords and shit, so they had to make some crazy strategies. Like, how do we get to this point where you guys are not more prepared for things like this and don't have contingencies? With like cartoon fiction, I'm just like, there's no way that, there's going to be some that are grounded in reality, but the moment you watch this, it's like there's nothing grounded about it. I mean, dude, they literally go through a whole scene in the beginning where Mario, who looks like a little overweight dude, is doing flips and shit in a construction area, and then they're like parkouring around a dog in someone's very small home. Like by that time frame, your brain should have been like, all right, there's nothing logical about any of this, dude. We're just
I just
having a good
assumed
time.
he worked out. That's
Oh my,
really my.
he's the most in shape, and I don't know how short he is, by the way. I assume he's like, you know, he's 5'4" or something.
Like 6'3".
That'd be crazy if you. Then what is Peach, bro?
Peach
She's
is
like
like 7'8".
she's like 7 foot
Peach is
something.
huge.
What's that YouTube channel? The game theory,
Yeah.
game theorist. He did a whole series about actually figuring out the actual like
Height.
the height of the characters, and that was one of the things was getting Mario related to Peach. And if I'm not mistaken, Mario is actually like an average sized person,
So
and Peach is
5'8".
actually like really tall. Yeah, somewhere in that area. Sorry, Jack, but
You know
uh
what? I can relate to Mario.
I didn't say shit. See what I'm saying? Like I take shots at
I can
Jack
relate. It's
off
okay.
camera.
It's
Off
are you
it's
saying
camera.
okay.
Are you saying Jack can't do backflips in the shower?
Jack, if
And
you Jack, if you can do a backflip right now, I'll give you $100. Like,
Yeah, I would need more than 100 to try and to try a backflip right now.
but that's what I'm saying. Like I get what you're saying, right? There is like if we were watching something like The Last of Us, right? like a TV series like that, like I expect you to be one of those people who like tries to dissect every little thing. Like, how does this happen here, right? Without,
Absolutely.
you know,
And in that scenario, I would expect them to be very smart about things because they're alive at that moment in
but
time,
what would
right? They
you
would have died a
expect?
long time
But
ago.
what
They
would
would
you
have died a
expect in the Super Mario Brothers like universe that would make you say at any point in time, "Hey, that doesn't make sense." It's not supposed to make sense, bro. They're jumping off like floating platforms and
because
powering
they
up via flour. Okay,
they be
I think you're not getting it.
because they
They're eating
put their
mushrooms to grow.
That's what I'm saying, bro.
there's also mushrooms to shrink you too, which
Yeah, that's right.
is more realistic. But
Dude, what was here's the other thing. I was gonna ask about this. Did they ever make a tie-in for this? Like some of the stuff, and I was kind of surprised that they didn't make like a tie-in game. You know, this would have been like the perfect opportunity. The movie made 1.3 billion, bro. I would have immediately, if I was Nintendo,
Developed a
I'm
game.
like stealth dropping a Super Mario Brothers movie game, like the day of, like boom. Let's add more money, bro. Let's have that bad boy just printed out for me. That's basically what I would have done. Shit.
there's the Princess Peach game coming out, but I don't think
Yeah.
obviously that's not tied to it.
Because yeah, Super Mario Brothers Wonder, that one was fun. No one, I don't know anyone who played it. I played it. I really liked the game. But yeah, I thought there was like, there are things here. Like I said, it's a fun movie. It's just one of those that I think is like, I would say you would probably forget about it if you were not an attached Nintendo fan. But that's my opinion on it. Like I think it's a fun movie for what it is. I don't think too much about it. It's 90 minutes. I think that they could have probably made it longer, but knowing the core audience, right? Their target audience is children, right? I don't think they could have made it any longer because if they did, the kids would have gotten confused or bored. And Illumination put their
Guilty.
backs into some of this shit, dude. Some of the animation stuff in here is fucking phenomenal. Like when they have
Oh, it's
like
really good.
when Peach like transforms, like she goes like she takes that fire flower at first.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I thought that whole sequence was amazing. I was like, holy shit, that is awesome, dude. Um, yeah, I just I understand, Brad, right? I think it's easier.
Also,
Damn it,
Bowser had the superstar. He never touched
dude.
it.
It's because he loved Peach, bro. Okay, did you not hear the fucking
Like
songs he was singing? He was trying to serenade my girl,
I
and
get
he's just
that
like
part,
went on that.
but there
He
was a
tried
point where
really
He
hard.
tried
there's
really
a,
hard.
there's a point where he goes, "All right, I'm destroying everything," and he still never touches the star. Like he's just like, "I'm just gonna have it.
Here's
I'm just
my
gonna
opinion on that.
cherish it
Because if
forever."
you see how strong Bowser is, I don't think he necessarily needs the star or thinks that he needs it. And also, none of these characters are particularly smart outside of fucking Peach, man. That's it.
That's actually
Right? Every
that is
character is pretty much really dumb. I mean, Toad tricked two other Toads at the beginning by cooking in front of them, right? Like they're not geniuses here. They would have got caught doing stupid shit quickly. And also, Donkey Kong's dumb as hell. Like I mean, like what were you guys? What was the expectation there? I
I
just
was
thought it
really
was
hoping
cool that we
Donkey
got.
Kong would show up.
Yeah, I was kind of sad if that didn't happen. I do think like they could make a Donkey Kong. I'd rather see a Donkey Kong series honestly rather than a movie. Little King K. Rool, get a little more time because that then you could develop the characters. Then you could have like the relationship between him and Diddy Kong,
Oh,
or
you could do Kong Country versus Bowser family or something, and have like all of the Kong family
I was kind of sad they
in
didn't
all
have.
of the
I was
Bowser
kind
family.
of sad they didn't have the Bowser kids show up.
Yeah.
I was hoping so bad, like Bowser Jr. would show up. I'm hoping he shows up next movie. Right. Here's my thought process. Right. Here's how it's gonna work next film. Right. They're gonna have
His
like
mother, though.
they're gonna have the Mario brothers. Right. They're gonna get babyfied, and it's gonna be fucking the Yoshi movie, and it's just gonna be the kids screaming the entire time. Ah, I man, I hated that in the game.
Yeah.
I hated that so much.
What are
Love
you
those
talking
games
about?
though. What are you talking about?
Oh my gosh.
You hated it
Baby Mario's the favorite.
when they were screaming the entire time when they're floating away in the bubble. Dude, that shit is annoying, bro. Let them go.
I just let him go. Just
Yeah.
like bye bye.
You could make a Toad movie because they have the Captain Toad games, which
Yeah.
that'd be kind of fun. I thought it was pretty cool that who is the mayor of Brooklyn? What's her name? Shoot, because she shows up in Pauline. It's Pauline. So she was in the original Mario Brothers with Donkey Kong. That's who they were saving at first, Jack. If you ever played the original Mario game when they were in Donkey Kong, it's Pauline. and she was also in New Donk City. She was the mayor.
She was the mayor.
Yep. Which is, I'm like, so essentially, yeah. Instead of going Brooklyn, they could have been it's New Donk City.
Right, and like
Donk.
if they would have changed that, if they would have made it New Donk City, I would have been perfectly fine with everything.
But
Right?
no, it's fine anyway, bro. Like it's fine anyway. There's nothing real. None of that can hurt you.
The movie starts off with them spending their life savings on an infomercial for their business that they haven't started yet.
They didn't they do an infomercial in the original movie too? In the live action one?
I don't
Stuff like
remember that. I don't
the
remember.
Mario
been 30.
Marios, the Mario Brothers, the plumbers, the Mario, Luigi Mario.
Here's a question: who had the better Goombas?
I'm sorry.
I'm joking. Between the two movies.
Well, this one had the better Goombas because I could not. I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know why we call them Goombas, man. Like that, the ones
I
in
don't
the
know.
live action were the ugliest looking things I've ever
They
seen.
were fucking horrible.
That shit gave me
Tiny-headed
nightmares.
alligators.
I'm serious. If you look up the movie right now,
Which one?
the original Super Mario Brothers film. If you look up the
Yeah,
movie
have
right
it
now,
up.
I want you to like, dude. They had Bob Hoskins, John Leguizamo, Dennis Hopper, fucking Samantha Mathis. I remember her; she was a good actress. Like they have all these really good actors. I'm like, how did you convince these people this was going to work? What did you pay them? Because it was a $48 million movie back in 1993, right? Which right now would probably like inflate like over $100 million.
Oh yeah.
I mean, but that was like a horrific film. I don't like. I used to think that movie was like the worst video game adaptation I've ever watched until I watched Double Dragons, and then I was like, you know what? There are things that are worse than this. Like there are worse films. If you ever watched Double Dragons, you watch this, listen to this
I
podcast,
do
you
like
watch
the
the podcast,
games.
leave me a comment, and then I'm gonna call you out and ban
I
you.
haven't watched it, and I don't think I'll ever watch it.
Don't watch it. It's not good. The new games are good. Not they went through like a stretch of like bad Double Dragon games after a while.
Double Dragon 2, Double
But-
Trouble.
But I do want to talk about Super Mario Brothers movie, the live action. So, with the success of the animated film, do you think Nintendo will ever go back to this property or revisit it as a live action film, or because of its success, like I said, $1.3 billion, do you think it
would be
stays
super hard.
animated?
I think it needs to stay animated, because if you try to bring a live action to this again, you're gonna end up with ugly ass characters like you did before.
I think
Because you can't live action some of these characters.
I think you can.
I think it relies on
It'll be a
this
lot
other
of
movie.
CGI then.
Yeah, it would depend on like who's in charge of it. I think like with Sonic, right? And we'll watch that next. We'll watch Sonic 1 and 2. But with Sonic, it's like they did a good job of incorporating Sonic into the real world. Right?
But it's
elements, but it's like one character.
yeah, it's
You know what I
one
mean?
character versus Super Mario. You have an entire world of
Yeah.
characters.
It would be really funny though to see them revisit it and just have like
I mean, I'm sure there's a fan flick out there that probably does an amazing job,
Oh,
just
yeah.
like they did with Mortal Kombat Legacy.
Well, it's always been interesting because there's been a debate within like video game adaptations as to whether or not animation, animated live action, that type of stuff, that conversation's always come up. And I feel like Nintendo probably sees this and goes, okay, so we made this much money. This was a good decision because it would have been really funny watching Chris Pratt as Mario. Then I can see the justification of casting Chris Pratt as Mario, as like this really jacked Mario character. And then I don't think you could have. I think because Luigi's taller, I don't think you could get Charlie Day unless you just justify him being shorter and skinnier and just not effective. And Jack Black could play Bowser. Jack Black's got the
Just
Bowser, got the Bowser build. I guess.
Get Chris Helmsworth or one of the Helmsworth brothers to play Luigi.
Yeah.
Fat Thor.
Fat Thor.
Fat Thor.
There you go. Fat Thor. We nailed it. Because like, moving forward with other Nintendo properties, and I really think like, we've finally hit that point. We've talked about this before, where a lot of video game adaptations are becoming like solid, right? Fallout. We started out with talking about the Fallout series. Fallout was fantastic. I love the Last of Us TV series. I want you guys to watch that too, but I want to reserve it for like the first couple of episodes because like I know that it's probably going to depress Brad because the first 3 episodes are incredibly sad. So that type of stuff. Sonic the Hedgehog. I thought the Sonic the Hedgehog movie would be bad, flat out.
It was going to be if they did not do that character change.
Yeah.
That character design change.
Well, what's interesting is that like they kind of understood the character. Like, have you ever seen like any of the Sonic cartoons back in the 90s? Like, there was like, it was slapstick comedy. It was, irreverent, that type of stuff. Like, that's essentially what they did there. And I thought they did a really good job. And then Sonic 2, when they introduced Knuckles, that was fun because, that's the, it's weird. I don't know why in my head I was like, why does Knuckles need to be like British, like Idris Elba? But it worked.
To watch it, but it was on Paramount.
Yeah, it worked. It worked. Like, he's phenomenal as that character. He kills it. So I'm just curious as to like how Nintendo moving forward handles this, because if you're doing a live action Legend of Zelda, right? Like, how do you cast that? Because the characters are humanoid, right, Brad? I mean, they are elves.
I feel like it'd be easier to do.
I wonder, but how would you, are you making it more geared like Dungeons and Dragons type fantasy or Lord of the Rings type fantasy?
I feel like it'd be more Lord of the Rings style.
You think so?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a good question. That's a good point. I think because of when I played Twilight Princess, I really think like Zelda is like on the precipice at times of being a dark fantasy. But I don't know if for Nintendo's sake they want kind of like a dark PG-13 Game of Thrones type Legend of Zelda. I mean, that's what Ganondorf is pretty much, right? Ganondorf's like this fucking super dark, violent, brooding character. It's like this, you have like all these stories to adapt, right? I wonder if, and like the thing is like Link doesn't talk. Does changing that dynamic for that character, really alter the way like the film's going to be or how it's going to feel?
Absolutely.
What do you think, Brad, should happen? Should they create like a silent type, or should they like have him be like a fully voiced character? I'm being honest.
Yeah. No, I'm not gonna say what I think they should do, but I'm gonna say what.
Nah, what do you think?
No. You ain't doing that shit.
Yeah.
What do you think they
Yeah.
should?
No, he's got some. So they. So Link actually has some type of like speech impediment type thing, right? He has like something, and like that's all he can actually voice is just like yelps and yas and stuff. So it's like he just has normal conversations, but he's like yeah, and the people like understand him like what he's saying, but
I was
it's
thinking
just like his special.
I was thinking for some reason more along the lines of like when he gets cursed, he loses his voice. And then that's the only way he can communicate. He can only communicate through like grunts and
That'd
stuff.
be a good backstory,
right? Instead of him just having a speech impediment, it's like Jesus, bro. Like the kid who couldn't speak, or the kid who had the stuttering issue becomes the fucking master sword wielder. Per Brad, he wrote this essay. It's the thesis is pretty good. Jack, what would you do? Like, would you do live action or would you do animated for Legend of Zelda? I don't know if you're like if you've played much of those games.
I've played Zelda before. I would do live action. I think you're a lot closer to having a successful live action with Zelda than you would with a live action Super Mario today.
I think casting would matter too on this one.
Yeah, and I think there's definitely
it's
a lot of
it's essentially Timothy
good
Chalamet.
options out there.
that's what they're gonna do.
Just have Orlando Bloom.
Yeah, Orlando Bloom's in his 50s, bro. We have old Link.
He still looks 35. It's okay.
We have old Link. We have old Link now. I think that's gonna hinge on like Ganondorf too. I think that getting that character down, getting how menacing he is.
Danny DeVito.
Danny DeVito.
Oh, fucking great.
On stilts.
On a fucking ladder.
So I think it's a different perspective. Coming back to the silent protagonist. When you play a video game, I feel like you have obviously a more intimate connection with that character, right? You're playing the game as them. So when you go talk to a shopkeep, I don't think it's that necessary for Link to say something because you're walking up and you're going to conversate with the shopkeep, right? So you really just need the shopkeep to acknowledge your existence and that you want to buy something. In a movie, you're watching the story about Link. Right. So I don't think that connection's there. So I do think there needs to be some more of a kind of communication device other than.
What do you mean? Dude, they can just have the fairy. Hey, look, listen. Hey, listen. Hey. It's like shut the Fuck up, bro. No, I think that I'd love to see a dark fantasy Zelda game, dude. Because like if you look at like some of the later games when they got into like the 3D realm, those are dark, man. You know, what was the one with the moon that smiles? Was it Majora's Mask? Where it's like the town's gonna be
That
destroyed by the
that
fucking
game
moon?
was terrifying.
Yeah. That right there, they could absolutely do. Because they have like an entire gamut of stuff they could like take from. And I think that some of the stories, you know, if treated properly, could be really good. Because like with, you know, once again with Mario, you had like this really lighthearted story we could have a lot of fun with. Nothing's really connected. It's just like, you know, different universes. I'm surprised they didn't throw in like some of the Ubisoft bunnies and stuff like that in there, right? Just for shits and giggles. But like the possibilities for Mario is like, yeah, we'll just keep it animated. We'll just sprawl it out into different like, you know, subsets and stuff. We'll move on. With like Zelda, Metroid, and other properties, like you do have to kind of be careful about how you approach it. I think Metroid 100% could be a animated film if they wanted to be, or live action because you know you have you know alien films that could work out, and I think that making it like an alien movie the first time because essentially the Metroid Prime films kind of come off as like they have like horror elements to them sometimes. I think that'd be great. With Legend of Zelda, it's like you taking a silent protagonist. It's gonna be weird, right, to have them silent. But also, if you like have that backstory kicked in, like it's a curse and not a speech impediment, then I think that would work out. I think you could
I think
absolutely.
the curse idea would work out.
I think that'd be cool. That'd be cool. Like you know, he's talking. He's like trying to save the princess, and he fucking like as Ganondorf like hits him with a curse or something like that to you know for immortality or whatever it is. He ends up losing his voice as a result. And I think that like could be like a huge plot device as they move forward. And then like, he gets that little fairy.
And maybe
She's
with the whole communication issue, maybe he just travels with someone
yeah.
throughout the movie.
That's what I'm saying. The little fairy, dude. The little fairy just like yaks the
Oh, I
entire
mean,
time.
maybe not as annoying as what you're making it out to be.
Dude, I don't know if you played those games, but the little fairy that's all they did. Hey, listen. Hey, listen. It's like, dude,
Or
shut
he could just have
the fuck up.
he could have his tablet from Breath of the Wild
Uh,
and just like do like
you mean
auto
the
translate.
Switch? You can just pull up the Switch. That's basically what that was. No, I mean, I think Zelda has a you know you can either be lighthearted and I think you'd kind of be more you know Dungeons and Dragons ish, you know darker elements but very funny, lighthearted, or you can go on full on dark fantasy. I don't think many people would. I think well you'd have some people complaining about why Zelda is so dark. Well, I'm like Majora's Mask. I'll just point at the moon. Like, you want this? You want that fucking moon dropping down on you so everything resets? That's what you want. Is there any other things, any other film or any other adaptations for Nintendo that you want to see? I know there's going to
For
be a contingent of
Nintendo?
people who want to see Kirby. Kirby had a TV show back in the day. I think they had like over 100 episodes. I would love to see Kirby, bro. I don't care. I love to see. You know what I want to see also? Star Fox. I would take a Star Fox
Star
animated,
Fox would be sick.
a Star Fox animated movie, dude.
Yeah.
Just who
Dude,
wait, who's the one who dies? The frog? Which one? Are you
Frog.
yeah, the
Or
frog.
the frog one.
No, do I? As he explodes, it's not even breaking point. I think Star Fox would be sick. They could definitely do Kirby. For some reason, like when Nintendo like invests in stuff, like they do a good job. You know what I'd love to see, and I'm pretty sure Brad would disagree with me. I'd like to see a Fire Emblem anime series. I would. Like when they did Fire Emblem Three Houses, dude, I was like, they literally made it a slice of life
see
anime,
that.
bro. They made a fantasy anime. I was like, this is gonna be perfect. And if you have not
I
played
mean,
it,
I like the Fire Emblem games. They're good.
I really liked Three Houses. I didn't like the follow up that was like super weird because it was it was Engage Fire Emblem Engage where it had like the different hair colors. And I was like, what? I was like, this is just like a fan game that we used to see in like in the 2000s. They just like add every character possible. I think they could do Fire Emblem.
I'd love to see a Luigi's Mansion movie.
Oh yeah, 100%. I love to see an Ice Climbers movie. You know, just
Oh, dude, they should do
have them together fighting the penguins.
they should they should do like all their big IPs, right? And then they should have like a Avengers movie, but it's just Smash Brothers where all of the characters come
They all
together.
fight.
That would be fucking
um,
great, dude.
you know, would be a great kids show. Kids series would be like an Animal Crossing series.
Oh yeah. No, it wouldn't, dude, because
I
Tom
wouldn't
Nook's
make
a
that a
piece of
movie.
shit. What are you talking? Tom Nook is a piece of shit. Why would that be a good thing, dude?
Tom Nook knows I run my fucking island.
So he can teach you. So he can teach you how to get that money when I want, little boy. Jack's like, I run my island as Tom Nook is stealing from him in the background. He's like, you pay that rent yet, Jack?
Everything's paid off. Fuck that.
Banjo-Kazooie.
No, I thought that was Rare, not Nintendo.
Well,
am I wrong?
I was on a Nintendo. It was on. It is Rare, but
yeah,
it was on a Nintendo game or on a Nintendo console. So
yeah,
it doesn't. It counts.
I think bringing Kirby back TV series would be funny. Just bring back the cartoon series. I'd love to see Metroid live action. That'd be so cool. If but they'd have to do it right. Like once again, I think a lot of video game adaptations hinge on whether or not the people who are crafting the script for it actually care about the what they're adapting, like the actual property itself, and they're not going to disrespect the viewer. Like The Legend of Zelda feels like one of those like high risk, high reward type movies, right? If you fuck this up completely, it's probably because you didn't respect the audience, right? If Link's not breaking pots in the movie, what's the point of making it? You know what I mean? If he's not turning and looking at people and then spinning into a pot with his sword, what's the point, right?
I imagine like the Witcher show, but just with Link.
Henry Cavill, like I know you were upset that the writers couldn't get the Witcher down, but we felt we need you in the Legend of Zelda. We need a really jacked person to play.
Right.
That would be just absolutely just fucking ripping goblins and moblins apart. Like the Moblin Slayer, fucking Link in a suit of armor. You can get away with it, bro. You can get away with it. Splatoon would probably be a good 3D animated TV series too. I could see that getting adapted.
TV series, yeah.
I think it's crazy that Splatoon is as popular as it is. I could never understand it. Like I could never get into the games, but like
it's a hard game to play. It's not easy.
I couldn't get into it, but like, dude, I could totally see its popularity. Pikmin could make a really funny, like you could do with Pikmin. You could do it's like you do 3D visuals, but you do it on like in reality, like on grass and stuff like that. That's how the games are. I'd love to see that, just like the little dude like commanding the Pikmin around, stuff like that. For a couple, like you can do like short series and stuff like that. Like Nintendo has a lot of ammo. They have a lot.
Oh, dude, they could do Pokemon movies.
They did that. They did a Pokemon movie, and I think
they did a bunch of Pokemon.
I think I think they're doing another one.
What about is Fable?
No, Fable's Microsoft.
Xbox.
Which they're making a game out of, I guess, with a set protagonist, but whatever. I'm trying to think, like, what else does Nintendo have that I want to see? Good lord, I think we brought them up all: Mario, Donkey Kong, Legend of Zelda, Metroid, Fire Emblem, Kirby, Star Fox, Pokemon,
Animal Crossing,
Xenoblade Chronicles. Brad, that would be like the most depressing anime ever.
That would be like a freaking Lord of the Rings trilogy that every game is, or every movie is 4 hours long.
Oh my god, it'd be
and everyone's British for some reason.
Oh no, they're Australian in then, aren't they? It'd be like the most sad Australian film you've ever seen.
There are Australians as well, yes.
For some reason, they're just like, you're like, why is no one here? Just no one's American. No, we're just all Australian. All right, that's gonna go.
Golden Sun.
Ooh, that's not a big enough property. I think their money makers are gonna absolutely crush that with. I'd
love to see a Wario movie. That would be.
I'd love to see Wario in the next film.
Wario
as the villain.
No, just Wario. Just
Wario.
It's basically the movie you just watch. It's the Super Mario Brothers, but he doesn't like do well. Like he like fails at everything. Like he's
shit. He has like a Despicable Me moment where he's like a good guy at the end. Oh man, that would. You know what? They could do that, but they could also have like Waluigi as like the villain and stuff like that.
Or you have a MCU moment where Mario and Luigi cross universes and meet Waluigi and.
Oh yeah, it'd be like one of those things where they meet like Wario like randomly as they're like going into like a mirror universe, and they meet him, and it's like, what are you? It's like, I'm you, but better. And then Waluigi appears out of nowhere and then, just kidnaps Luigi, and then he's out of the movie for the next like hour. Till he shows up for 10 minutes at the end. they give him like a fucking star again. You know, it writes itself. Check. The whole movie writes itself.
Yeah.
I would take a whole film with like Luigi in it as.
I'm telling you, they need to do a Luigi's Mansion.
They could do a series too, because there's
for each floor would be a episode.
Each brother has his day.
Him trying to
and,
figure out how to use his fucking his vacuum and stuff.
Yeah,
dude. I'm just saying, like Nintendo has, God, they have so much, dude. And now that they've realized, now that they've gotten a taste of like success, because I'm pretty sure they were scared off for so many years of making a movie with any of their existing properties because they bombed out hardcore with Mario Brothers. I'm trying to think, like, if they're outside of Kirby that I know got a TV series and Mario Brothers as well. If anything else, so I think like they tried to like get into animation with like television series, because I remember Zelda, because I remember the main thing that Link said during the entire show was "Excuse me, princess," like in the most snotty, shitty way to her when she was like being like prissy with him. He's like, "Well, excuse me, princess," and then they fucking like go off on an adventure or something like that. Like, I think that like they got scared off because it wasn't as successful as they thought it could be. But now, I mean, you hit 1.3 billion, dude. There is no reason why something like Donkey Kong, Zelda, Fire Emblem, Metroid don't all make money for you, right? It's gonna be interesting because I'm hoping that like they continue to work with Illumination on like a lot of their things. Like, I'd love to see Donkey Kong movie, or Kong Country, right? Whatever it is. Star Fox. Like Star Fox is like jumping in my head, dude. I just want a Star Fox thing. Or
Star Fox
is
cool.
F-Zero's Nintendo too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Yes.
Let's get F-Zero in there. Like that one would be dark though, because people do die in those crashes.
So there is an Fire Emblem adaptation and an F-Zero adaptation as well.
What about Wave Runner? Was that the name of it?
On the 64?
Yeah.
We'll have Chris Pratt star as the main character.
They do own 1080 degree. Yeah.
Have that Chris
All right,
Pratt
now we're
as
just
well.
getting ridiculous with these.
Just throw Chris Pratt in there in every one of them,
No, dude, they need a Wii Sports movie, right? It's like there's one character, and
he just does all the sports. It's Chris Pratt doing different sports.
Wasn't that Free Guy with fucking Ryan Reynolds pretty much?
Yeah. So that I was going to mention that earlier. I was going to say they need to make a me version of that, right? So it's like there's a bunch of me's, and one me breaks away from all the other me's.
Oh my becomes god!
His own.
Is it the Lego movie? I'm like, they stole that from the Lego movie.
It becomes a horror film.
Yeah, it becomes a horror film. I'm Best the Batman only one now. It's no longer me. It's I. It just starts killing all the me's and shit like that. Man, is there?
Now,
so
what about Sega though? I mean, we barely touched on Sonic.
Well, I mean, we're gonna be watching Sonic, so we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I watched both movies. I didn't know we were.
Yeah.
We were talking about both today.
Yeah. No, I thought we were only talking about Super Mario Brothers.
Hey, you know what? I'm ahead. That's nice.
There you go. You'll forget about it anyway, Jack, so you have to rewatch it.
Me and my fucking fish brain.
You're gonna be like, we were watching Sonic? Like, what are you saying, bro?
That's a restaurant. That's not even a movie.
You're a liar. You're a piece of shit.
Guys, I brought Sonic food.
You guys want some shakes?
That's not what we're doing. We're not reviewing Sonic's.
It's like, I thought we were all having shakes, brothers. Like, I can't remember, was it Happy Hour for them? They have like the limeade mix and shit like that. You guys want some Sonic? It's like, dude, we're talking about the movie. There's a movie?
2 to 4, man, half price.
Don't you?
Slushies, man.
You know what though?
Brad used to work at a Sonic. Fun fact. No.
Nice.
Nope. I don't think I could.
I'll have to see if there's a Sonic around here, and if there is, I'll get Sonic and eat it during the Sonic episode.
Oh my god, bro. Jesus.
Get a Master Blast.
Yeah.
All right. So, Super Mario Brothers out of the way, Nintendo stuff out of the way. Let's talk about what's upcoming. We're going to be doing Sonic for the next Pixelated Thoughts episode, right? Now we can watch 1 and 2. What do you guys want to do? You guys want to watch 1 or 2?
I need to get access to Paramount to watch number 2.
Okay.
Or I can rent it from Amazon.
Yeah.
Or Redbox.
Redbox still exists?
It requires me to leave my house and
Redbox still exists? I mean, I gotta check if I got a. I don't think I have a DVD player anymore. Holy shit, or a Blu-ray player. Yeah, we'll do Sonic. We'll talk Chibi about Sonic 1 and 2. And then for Down the Rabbit Hole, it's going to be Haikyuu. Okay, that's what Chibi wants.
Yeah, can you put that in our chat?
Yeah, I'll talk to Chibi about it. She
Make
said the
sure I
first
watch
12
it.
episodes. I also want to talk about a new anime that just came out briefly. It's called The Elusive Samurai. It's on Crunchyroll. That shit is awesome. Like, the animation in it is fantastic. Some of the best I've seen. Like, I really like it. I think it should be on everyone's radar. It is The Elusive Samurai. I think we're also doing, what are we doing? We're gonna probably put out the Rainbow Six Siege extraction video next week, and we're doing that because it's part of our continuing, like, you know, is it a bad game like the critics say, or are the, you know, pretty much like are the critics wrong?
I had fun.
You have fun with everything.
Shame on y'all for not watching my first review video more.
Super
Not y'all,
Vive,
but I'm talking to you viewers out there.
Supervive? That's first off, that's on, you should know, your people you should talk to your Discord about that too.
This is too
You
my
didn't promote it enough.
Yeah,
That's
you
what
gotta
happened.
promote it.
I did.
I mean, it still hit.
Now you need to put your life savings into an infomercial.
You need to go fucking.
God damn it! I knew it.
You need to go broke. Like, you need, like, when you go live on Twitch, you're like, "Did you watch my video?" That's the first thing you say to when you get like when your chat's at its highest, right? You're just like, "Hey, I'm not gonna stream anymore because you guys didn't watch my video, and just fucking cut it off." You didn't watch. You didn't watch it, you pieces of shit.
Blackmail your audience.
Why don't you do me a fucking favor? And instead of, like, watching me play this fucking game, which I hate, you go out and you fucking watch this video, or I'm gonna die. It's tough up. But we'll do Rainbow Six Siege, and then Brad gets the choice on the next game afterwards. So, yay, I guess. But I think that's all we have for this episode. Yeah. I think that's all we have for this episode. Brad, Jack, do you guys have any closing thoughts on Super Mario Brothers movie or anything regarding the Nintendo adaptations?
No.
Let's make it lean. Good.
Yeah,
good,
I think stay away from making a live action of Mario.
Please.
I don't think that's going to be a good idea.
Brad, anything from you, sir?
I'm just waiting for the Tecmo Bowl game now, or movie.
You don't need that when you have College Football 25 out right now. So,
oh yeah,
that is gonna do it for Pixelated Thoughts. Whole crew's here, minus Chibi. She'll be on next time because that is her show. So, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you like the content. And we will talk to you next time, everybody.
Later.